I really appreciate you coming on and being a part of the podcast once again. For everybody out there who's listening, coaches, trainers. I mean, this one's really particularly for you, but I think there's a lot of stuff in this particular episode that is also general business and just general mindset stuff. Like, how do I overcome the thinking the way that I think? And that can be applied to anything. And I think that that's what's cool about life in general and this podcast in general, is that even though we may be talking about specifically coaching tonight or specifically a bodybuilder one night, like, we can apply all these things to our individual lives in ways that we see fit. No pun intended, but thank you for coming on. You know, a great opportunity here once again for coaches and trainers. Trainer revenue multiplier on here, Matthew. I'm really excited to have you on, and tonight we're going to be sharing some really interesting information. So if you just want to kind of kick things off with your list, with your, I guess I'll kind of in some ways giving the floor to you to kind of take over and just teach us something. You know, give us the gold that we know that TRM has to share.
Well, thank you, Dan. And it's always a pleasure coming on here to add value to you, your listeners, the Room podcast. We really believe in this partnership. And I really wanted to, really give some value to you guys and to your listeners and your coaches that are either starting their business or have a business for over 5, 10 years or 20 years. And I want this to be an applicable tool or a workshop or even like a guide they can actually kind of pull away from, listen back to a couple episodes or listen back in this episode to gain some insight how they can grow their business, how they can improve their business, or just make it that much a little bit better, right? So we're going to cover things. I'll begin things off with common problems that trainers typically are having when they come to us, from, the industry. First thing is discounting their services. First thing is like really charging what I would reference as peanuts as a coach, or thinking that they are scared to charge more or because they're going to lose clients. Number one. Number two is they think they need to have a big social media following or need to invest in a bunch of social media marketing to become successful and gain lots of leads in their businesses, which actually isn't always true. And number three comes into advertising. There's a lot of like social media talk about investing into Facebook ads, Google ads. Facebook ads probably the most. Ads are great at a certain point in your business, but a lot of coaches think they would need that or invest into ads to grow, which actually isn't always true. Number four comes into certifications and degrees. Now, I'm a huge component in education. I believe you have to educate to get better, to have your skill set. Where it becomes a bit of I'm going to call it a bottleneck, is when coaches use certificate as almost like a crutch to hold them back from growing their business. They almost want to get the 15th certification when they've already got 4 and 5, and they can keep growing from there, right? That's number four. Then we go into basically the aspect of offering low prices or offering discounts or offering special promo deals too much in their services, which means that if I'm a coach, online coach, or a personal trainer and I'm growing a business, and all of a sudden I'm always doing a deal of the month, buy 12, get 3 free. Listen, you aren't a product, guys, you are a service. So number five, it's easy to build an online coaching business, or that it's almost like this big, massive ordeal. It can be, it depends how you look at it, but also looking at it from a more of a place of how do you add value to people? How do you understand the people that you want to serve and then meet them there to then serve them to their transformational goals? And then it comes into techie stuff. Oh my gosh, techie stuff. I hate Dan smiling already. We all know AI is taken a massive leap forward with technology in systems, technology in CRMs, and the list goes on. Sometimes we think we have to be this technological expert, and almost can be very scary to grow a successful business. This is also not true. It depends how you look at the technology and how you're applying it in your coaching business. We've had coaches come to us who've been coaching for 30, 40 freaking years, bro. And they haven't even, they're not even trying to open up a Word doc, like in Google. So we take it through this process, but they're already have 50 in-person clients. So they're like, how do I grow an online now? Because I feel like I'm almost like a dinosaur in the industry. And listen, it's okay. Here's the first couple of steps, right? So those kind of things as well. So you don't have to be a tech expert to grow an online business.
I want to go through some of these and kind of dispel or give some tips for people on how to actually overcome a lot of these things.
There's a couple more I want to bring to the table, and I'll dissect them for you as well, Dan. Okay. Sales doesn't have to be salesy. And this one comes all the time. In fact, I'll share more about that in a second. Second comes into overwhelm. A lot of our coaches who come to us, who actually been coaching for a long time, already do fairly good in their business, but they face a ton of overwhelm and on the verge of burning out. So that is also a common problem that I probably hear at least 3-4 times a week on calls. So it's really understanding that that's a common thing. Don't feel alone if you're feeling that feeling, but understand that I'll give you some tips today that actually will help you kind of uncover that burnout feeling or uncover the overwhelm and get you going with more clarity.
When it comes to discounting services, are you a personal trainer, online fitness coach, or gym owner on the verge of burnout? Are you wanting to grow your fitness business but can't add more hours to your hectic schedule? Introducing Trainer Revenue Multiplier, the premier wealth creation system for fitness professionals that helps you earn more and work less. Visit www.trainerrevenuemultiplier.com today to schedule your free business accelerator session. If you're serious about taking your business to the next level, schedule your call today.
This is actually a very common thing, and I see this in social media with some coaches, not always TRM coaches, more other coaches doing this a lot. They'll add online discounts, like save $100 this month. I have a special promotion going. I recommend so remember, a personal trainer, online trainer is a service-based business, not a product-based business. Product would be you selling your online course, right? That's a product. You can do discounts and promote that, totally is fine. But when you're discounting your service, you're programming your client or customer to think that, well, I'll wait till they give the next discount of the month, right? So you're programming yourself to devalue your service, which means you'll keep playing this catch-up game in your business all the time because you're putting yourself in a position of looking at almost like desperate in your approach in business. And all these clients are almost, again, they actually won't even, they'll just wait for your next discount deal, and you actually will lose profit margin, and you'll actually be more of a competitor as opposed to an actual like innovator in your approach in business. So the funny thing is, here's another part that's very important. Your best clients pay you the most. The clients that pay you the least are the ones that ask the most questions and cause you the most headaches. Okay. So you actually might only have 30 clients or 20 clients that pay you, $397 a month for your online coaching, but compared to 80 clients that pay you $147 a month, and they are driving you bonkers. Right? So now you're looking at two scenarios. Someone who's has a lot of clients makes okay money, but is burning out because they can't handle the stress. And over here, they have a high quality amount of clients with way less questions and baloney going on, but they have a higher happiness ratio with their business.
What is really driving the desire, or maybe the final breakdown of, all right, screw it, we're going to discount our services?
Usually fear and confidence, and not knowing how to present a package. The whole thing. So in TRM, I haven't done a discount in TRM in I don't know how many years, right? So when people join TRM, we have packages. That's what it is, right? We have different offers depending where you are in your business to suit your needs. But I never mentioned the word discount ever. I haven't mentioned that word in 5 years. So when a coach is looking to discount, it really comes into, they need to boost and learn how to build their confidence up, number one, which is a pretty obvious answer. But number two is they also want to learn how to present the offer effectively so it comes across value-driven first, not price first. And this will position them as an authority, but also very empathetic and professional than just, hey, here's online coaching. I charge, $297 a month, but I'm going to give you a deal at $147 because you are a guy this week that I really want to work with, and you're my first person in, or whatever that deal might look like. So now you actually lose your power and authority in delivering value, because now that you've put that in that coach or that client's mind that you just give them a deal, but end of the day, that could be the headache of your life.
What are some of the strategies and tips that you use and help coaches utilize with their clients to say, hey, we've had a price increase, and this is what's going on?
Usually you do it professionally. So for example, let's say you're a coach who already has a bunch of clients, right? And there's a mix of clients who are on new prices. There's a bunch of clients that are on grandfathered rates. there's a bunch of clients that are in the middle, right? So what you want to do first off is do what we call a control sheet breakdown of all those clients. We did this with the Got You client last week, actually, in the business. So if there's 200 people on the roster, you want to break down those 200 people, and of course, a price analysis of where every client basically is at from a price perspective. Now, when you do that, step 2 is then understand what offer do you want your price, what is your current offer? What is your upgrade offer going to be? So here's an example. Let's say that the upgrade offer is $397 a month for online coaching. It's your whole package of, customized program, customized nutrition, weekly check-ins, personalized support, the whole 9 yards. But that coach, for the last 6 years, they charged like $97 a month when they first began coaching, and they worked up to this new pricing of $397 a month for coaching. So there's a mix of all different price points, right? What this coach could do as an example is when you do the control sheet breakdown, analyze how many people are at the grandfather rate of $100 a month still. Okay. If there's 50 of them, cool. Then what we'll do is we'll position it where we communicate to these clients, because of course they've been with you for 2-3 years, that here's our new price increases, but we're going to, as a loyal client, we're not going to bump you to the full price point. We're going to meet you in the middle because you're a loyal client. As long as you stay with us for the time being, and we'll bump you from $97 to $197 a month. But just so you know, if you ever leave and come back, you'll be paying the full price again. Right. So it's really playing with integrity with this, but also with the data and the metrics. Okay. So just saying, like, just kind of putting a letter out to all your clients saying our prices are going up to this now, you could do that, but you have to look at the numbers first to see what all your clients are at first before you do things like that.
Talk to us a little bit about how, like, you don't necessarily have to have a large social media to have a successful business.
Totally will. So if I can just kind of share 2 things here, Dan, because there's something that I would like to close a gap on this package thing that I think is so important, but we'll talk about social media right now just to kind of cover that gap, and we'll come back after that question, if you don't mind. So the thing with social media is we've been ingrained that, with numbers, is that if you've got 1,000 followers, 5,000 followers, or 100,000 followers, if you have all these followers, you're going to have a lot of clients. I have literally met, I'm serious, like probably 20, 30, 40 coaches who've got over 100,000 followers, and they aren't even making $4,000 a month in their business, because they don't understand that they're thinking that the visual component of their following is good enough, but they have no business acumen. They have a poor offer. They aren't consistent. They might show from a visual standpoint. So the thing is, I have coaches who have 1,000 to 4,000 followers and do almost 7 figures in their businesses. Okay. Because they don't actually know how to monetize, build a business, and leverage their business social following effectively. So it comes into, and also we have a thing called lead gen circle in TRM, which means we analyze where are leads coming from in your business. There are 6 components. Social media is only one. So there's one of the 6. So if you're a coach and you're only investing your time in social media for leads, you're missing out on the other angles that could grow your business. So here's an example. If you're a coach right now that has maybe 100 clients, okay, and you've been coaching for 7-8 years, okay, I'm going to give you a numbers analysis to show you that what you could literally change your numbers in less than a month. And here's an example. Let's say that you had 50 of those 100 people at $97 a month. Okay. And let's say that, we had a call, we discussed your new offer. Your offer is going to be $297 a month, for your new online coaching offer. And you maybe already had half of other clients at $197 a month. Let's say that revenue, I'm just doing quick math here. The revenue of your control sheet showed you make around $20,000 a month in your business. Okay, cool. Just quick math. But let's say that you got this new offer at $297 a month, and you positioned the $97 a month up to $197 a month, right? And everyone started to move up in the rankings. In 1 week, you could go from $20,000 to probably close to $30,000 a month by just doing the one thing. So yeah, I just made you $10,000 more a month, guys. Just if that's you right now, okay? So that's why, if you can, because people think you need new leads, but we have a client right now who's got over 300 clients, and they had 400 a couple of years back. They have 300 right now. We did a cost analysis. They are currently doing 51,000 in their company right now with those amount of clients, but they've been coaching for over 10 years and their numbers are all over the place with these clients. I built a plan on one call and said, listen, I see all your clients, inner clients. If you just made all these small updates to your client roster and their numbers, like some are paying $97 a month, some are paying $127 a month, some are paying $147 a month. It was just all over the place. And you even move those people just to $197 a month, not to your full price. You would go from 51 to 73,000 a month in a month.
Wow.
That's $20,000 more a month in your business in 1 month with one change. So think of that, coach, when you guys are thinking of this. If you're experienced, that's one change that can make a big difference.
What's maybe your rebuttal, if you want to call it that, to somebody who says, man, I get that and it sounds great and I wish I could, but I don't want to lose people. I don't want people to go, I would pay the 97, but I can't, or I won't pay the 197. I mean, and I guess that maybe goes back to what you're talking about with the headache side of it and all that kind of stuff. But like, what is your initial like comeback, I guess, if you will, when it comes to the person, to the coach that wants to make that change, but is afraid of the repercussions or potential, or maybe their perceived repercussions more than the reality?
Great question. So the reality check is this: people are going to leave. That's number one. Not everyone's going to stay on the increase in the price. But if you break the numbers down, and let's say that 5% don't decide to keep with you in the coaching, that difference will be a significant difference, and your time investment will also go down because they'll respect you more in your coaching experience. You're not putting them in the full price point, guys. You're just making a slight adjustment to make everything kind of even, because they've been a loyal client for maybe a year or 2 or 3 years. Like you're honoring that integrity.
Mm-hmm.
So, but the ones that will leave are the ones that probably ask the most questions, and the ones that you probably like, oh man, I'm not sure I want that client very much, but you're scared to, like, you're just doing it because you're doing it, right?
Going back to the social media thing, I mean, you mentioned it, but like someone who has like that 1 to 4,000 follower range, who understands how to utilize their social media and utilize their following, give us some like actual, what does that look like? What does utilizing your and taking advantage of your social media following actually mean in regards to practical things that someone can actually start doing?
So it's going to come into understanding, first off, the kind of clients that you want. And your best client is you to start. Let's face it, our best client usually is yourself. But if you've been coaching for a long time, you can ask the question, who is your best client you've had? Maybe you coach for 10 years. You probably have a couple in mind. You're like, oh man, if I just had 30 or 40 more of those guys, I'd be a happy camper. You know what I mean? So that is that person, right? If you've been experienced. But if you're not experienced, take yourself. It's totally fine. So what you do is whether you have that client, maybe their name is Joe, or you've got yourself, you're going to ask, what is the problem with Joe or you? Like, what things do you have challenges with? And this could be on nutrition, it could be on your mindset, and it could be on being a routine basically in the gym. Like you're so up and down with your training issues, right? So you identified some common problems that you're having or you've had personally. Good. In your social following, you're going to start to talk about these problems and how to solve them, right? As we call it, content pillars in TRM. So if you've got nutrition and you have poor eating habits, but your ideal goal is to go from poor eating habits to like very healthy, sound eating habits, what are the steps you take to do all of that? Well, number one, a sound breakfast, very easy. Number two, have maybe your macro-based coach. You talk about, ideal macro ranges and caloric intake, how that looks like. That's number 2 video, right? And you keep just these they call them milestones, right? Mindset. What exactly around mindset are you struggling with? Is it imposter syndrome? Is it confidence? Okay, cool. If it's a confidence, how do you build confidence in the milestones? Good. Wake up in the morning at a certain time. Read the certain books. Get to the gym at 5 a.m. every morning, whatever your philosophy is. That's videos and posts in your content. Same thing for number 3. Now, when you start doing these things as a ritual every time, you have call to actions in these to initiate people who want to learn more about what you do. And it doesn't have to be to a sale. It can be as simple as comment on a post. To learn more, go to the bio link. I have some more. I had my interview with Weight Room Podcast on there. Go listen to my podcast episode. A lead magnet, like it could be a free checklist, a cheat sheet, but you want to have things that your client would find value in. That's really important. You're going to have a schedule a call. That's obvious. An application coaching thing is pretty obvious, but you're also going to have something that they can consume that would really kind of be like, whoa, that was really cool. Added, I found a difference already getting that value. So usually most coaches have personal brands with their coaching, right? They're themselves coaching, or they have a name, but they're still them on their businesses. So you still want to look at it as putting out the content that, so if I'm, TRM, I'm thinking of, okay, I want to speak to my people on the common problems and solutions. So it could be on how to go from overwhelm to how to get more, freedom in their business. Here's a tip I can give you today on, time management today. Boom, here's a video, post it, call to action, learn more, go to TRM, go to the bio link above. So I keep doing this every day in my stories and my feed. People are like, oh, that was a good video. That really hit me. I got value in there. Now I'm ready to learn more about what you do. Right. So that's kind of your approach.
Are you a personal trainer who wants to scale and grow your business online? Have you been coaching online for years, yet don't know how to incorporate online into your current business model? Introducing Trainer Revenue Multiplier, the premier wealth creation system for fitness professionals that helps you earn more and work less. Visit www.trainerrevenuemultiplier.com today to schedule your free business accelerator session. If you're serious about taking your business to the next level, schedule your call today. The Weight Room Podcast is thrilled to announce our new sponsor, Prime Science. They're leaders in harnessing scientific research to revolutionize your fitness journey. With a firm foundation in the latest health sciences, Prime Science offers innovative products to help you achieve and surpass your fitness and health goals. These tools are more than just accessories. They're the result of rigorous scientific research aimed at optimizing your health. Dive deeper into how you can transform your approach to fitness at primescience.co.uk. Trust me, with Prime Science, you're in scientifically sound hands. I guess maybe this is an individual kind of per instance kind of deal, but do you recommend someone branding themselves as themselves more? Or do you recommend like, hey, we're going to brand you as like the business you? Like, I guess maybe where do you find the most success in someone who is like ultra themselves, maybe somewhat to a fault, versus this is the business version of me, versus maybe even to the other extreme of, hey, we need maybe a little more personality here. Like where do you find the most success in that?
We have clients in both arenas. Okay. So we have personal coaches that use their name, and we have business, oriented coaches who have names with teams. So so there's value in both, Dan, to answer your question. And I want to give a scenario so that the coaches can understand this. Okay. If your vision as a coach is just to be yourself and keep adding value, maybe have maybe like a 10 or 20K month business, and that's all you want to do in your online coaching, great. That's awesome. Nothing wrong with that. That's your personal brand, your personal coaching. It could be, Daniel the Great, online coaching services. That's where you can go for your coaching services. But if your vision is to have a mid six figure, high six figure, or seven figure coaching business with a team involved, now you're probably going to want to have a business, name to that team, right? That's more of your vision. So, but both have merit and power. We have coaches that use their name that do mid six figures and do very well and have a very small team. We have coaches that use their name and do like vice versa. It depends what they want to do with their vision. That's the goal.
Gotcha. So a lot of times what happens when, the social media isn't working out for someone, and, what we're going to be talking about next is the ads. Where do we, how do we spend? If we can't get this going organically, we got to spend money. We got to, we got to go to the Facebook route or the Google ads route. And, a big part of what I've learned from you all is that that's not necessarily the route to go. Maybe that's a place that you can look at some point in your business, but tell us a little bit about like why that may not be the honey hole, if you will, in regards to what someone thinks they're going to get from that.
Yeah. Usually it's because first they're lazy. They want to go to ads because they think the ads is going to give them leads tomorrow, but they haven't even mastered the basics first. So I don't mean to be cold, guys, on this interview, but I'm just being real with you. When coaches come to us, half of the coaches that come to us on my calls are asking, should I do Facebook ads? Like almost half of the coaches always ask me, and I'm like, trust me, Facebook ads can be really good, really good. But you have to know how to use your Facebook ads and when's the right time to use Facebook ads. Because now with technology and the ads being so high level with Meta and everything involved, you almost need an expert to do these things for you and have a business that can sustain that on the back end with systems, or you're just going to spend money out of the hole.
How does TRM actually go about? Like, so if someone comes to you, hey, just understand this isn't where we're going to lead off with, but maybe it's that X step down the road. Like, how does that conversation look for you and a coach?
So we don't even talk about or do any ads for TRM clients for 6 months to a year or even longer. Like we have clients that haven't even touched ads in 2, 3 years, and they do 30, 40K a month in their businesses. So it comes into, have you got your social media nailed down yet, right? Do you have a referral program in your business? If not, you should have one. Or do you actually have collaborations with people that you can actually go and do like free webinars or free training with your database of clientele? Those three things alone are just going to generate leads for you, right? Being on podcasts like the Weight Room podcast with Big Bad Dan here, being on podcasts, that's also a media outlet for you. But that's an angle you can also generate leads. But the whole thing is your top three are your kind of your granddaddies. If those aren't being done, don't even think about ads.
And so you mentioned the idea that you have to have almost like the back end set up for the ads
Correct.
to be most beneficial for your business. And if someone's like, all right, I've got to the point to where, I've been working with TRM, we got things going well. What are some of those back end kind of things that you do make sure are in place before the ads do start to roll out?
Mm-hmm. Okay, so I'll use the word systems, but that's a very big word. I'm going to break this down for you because it's now kind of almost like a cliche word used all the time. So with ads, you want to make sure you have a process. So if I, for example, have a lead magnet that is meant to generate target busy moms to come into this little, consume the lead magnet could be a checklist on how to get rid of your post baby weight with these 3 key steps. Download the free magnet today. It's valued at $400 for free for you today. I get the free thing. I go into the funnel, right? And then the funnel isn't just like a bunch of things. The funnel is an experience. I call it an experience. That needs to be dialed. So a lot of coaches just put their lead magnet out and they don't have anything set up in the back to manage the lead when they come in. And that's where they fail.
Mm.
So they go put the lead magnet up, they do everything manual. So it comes through. Say I'm training clients in the day and I get 10 people sign up for my ebook. Well, I don't get back to them to the next day because I didn't have time to get back to them. I lost probably half of those people because they're going somewhere else. So with a system, when they get it, they're going to get follow up, email, SMS. They're going to confirm things. They're going to go in the system. They're going to get some more emails in there. They're going to get nurtured over a few weeks, maybe even a month. And you want to know how long it takes a client, a prospect who learns about you, to convert into a client.
Mm.
It might take them a month, 2 months, 3 months. Like I've had clients come say to me, Matthew, I've watched your podcast, TRM podcast, or I've heard about you from a referral 6 months ago. We just been following your stuff. I finally pulled the trigger because that one post hit me. 6 months of adding value to somebody. So people think they want to get a lead tomorrow, but the trust has to be developed. And if your systems are crap and they come into your funnel and there's no like email going out, there's nothing happening, you just lost money. So
Mm.
with ads, there needs to be the system, right? Because if you're putting money into this and they come in on application funnel, coaching application funnel, or they get the gift, all they get is an email and then they're gone for a while, you've lost all your money.
I have I have a similar experience, not with ads, but I did set up something. It was through Google Forms, I guess is what it's called, and I didn't have anything set up to like notify me apparently, and like literally months went by, and I forgot that I'd set this thing up, and this is when I was doing some training, and I was like, I should probably check that, and I checked it, and you know, sure enough, there was names in there, and I did reach out to them, and obviously none of them worked out because it had been 3 or 4 or 5, whatever it had been months since they've had put their information in, and I just felt like an idiot. But no, it's true. Like, but to the same like degree, where do you find it like you need to be efficient with that, but you also want to like feel like you're delivering personal messages?
You want to add in the personal touch. So this is where you'll add in, like, if you add in different elements of your follow-up, so you add in emails, you add an SMS, you might be able to add even a video from you in there as part of your experience. You've given them different touches, and that's where you can enhance the experience when they come in. So yes, AI is real. It's going to keep getting better, getting more robust over the years in big, big ways. But you can also leverage it to make it a great client experience. Because if you have leads coming in, you can also, if you want to have somebody give them a call, by all means, feel free. You can include personal touch in the automated experience as well if you choose to do so.
Where along the lines too do you find that like you need to, okay, they've somehow the systems, you know, going to the broad term again, knows, okay, this person's been in here for a month or 2 months or whatever. Now we need to hit them with something specific. We need to try to, you know, get them to pull the trigger now and, you know, deliver that hardcore kind of sell, if you will, or attempt at a sell, if you will. Like, does that come along at all into the long term view of things?
It does, but it's almost like it's sprinkled. Like, so whenever you bring somebody into a free gift, you never want to pitch them a high product. You always want to nurture them with free stuff, give them other things in your experience. If you have a podcast or maybe your podcast, Dan, maybe you offer collaborative people that you know, add those little nuggets because what you're doing is you're creating trust with the individual, right? And the next could be a consultation call to like learn more about maybe the services or if you're even a fit. You don't want to pitch these big things. If you have a small product for like $17, that's totally fine. Up to $97 is totally fine. Anything over $97, there's a bit more of a sales process there in that next step.
Gotcha. So something I want to kind of move on the line down the line to the next little topic, because I think it is something that a lot of people, or a certain kind of person, maybe more of that perfectionist kind of person, or maybe the person that has the imposter syndrome, you know, maybe it's that kind of person that will feel like they need more certification. They need more, they need to go back to school and get whatever degree. And not to say that like that is a bad thing in and of itself, but to feel like that's going to be that next thing that unlocks your business. I mean, what do you see are some of the things that that help coaches overcome the idea that while education is important, it's not the end all be all of success?
So it's that. So here's the thing: is I almost divide them into two categories. I divide certification and education into different categories because student certifications is about a piece of paper that you've taken a course on, which could be great, but then education never stops.
Mhm.
So you're always learning your skills and fine tuning your acts. But there's not always certifications with education. You can read a book, you can listen to a podcast, you can go, learn from a mentor. These are all educational pieces that you're always honing your acts every day on. Certifications can be a crush because it's like, oh, if I have this piece of paper, now I'm important. Now they're going to buy from me. Now they're going to pay my premium service. No, they're not going to. In fact, when I was a trainer for 10, 12 years, not one client asked for my piece of paper. And I had a 2-year degree. Not one person asked. So it's like this fear is made up in our minds when in reality it's presumptuous fear that's pre-made in a file in our brain isn't even true. The goal is how you communicate to the person, how you talk to them, how you listen to them, how you add value to them. That's where the sale, that's where the trust is built.
And so for certifications in general, I mean, are there times when you look at like a coach and you go, you have a lot of certifications that don't really add up to what your niche is. Like, why do you have a certification in senior fitness if you're going after, you know, 25-year-olds, but you also don't have any certifications that like that may give you any leg up in that category of the niche that you're going after. So do you ever recommend any, like not particular or specific ones, but like, do you ever recommend, hey, maybe you should think about if you do want to get into this niche, maybe going to the certification or like you're saying, educational route to actually fit your specific niche is better than just having a million certifications?
Exactly. Exactly. So say for example, 40 plus women in midlife, right, with certain things. Well, then what problems are midlife women having? Get education or knowledge or certifications on hormones or things you can do to help those clients. Here's a funny little thing. So whenever I have a consult call with usually a coach, right, I'll look at their social media, right? And if I notice that coach has got like lists of certification almost on their profile, it already gives me a red flag that coach is struggling with their confidence. They're probably, they may like it's giving me a red flag even coming to the call. be frank with you. The best coaches that we bring on TRM don't even post they have certifications, and they usually have 5 or 7 and 8 in their back pocket. They just don't say anything about it because they don't use it as their front crutch. Personally, I always recommend our coaches to go invest in other education, like outside of TRM. Like if they're gonna hone in on their training, go take hypertrophy, go take some advanced education on strength training, go hone those skills. Definitely go invest your education. But here's a two-edged sword. If you're struggling right now in your business as a coach and you're going to invest in certifications, but you actually need business support more than that certification right now, get the help on your business first because you'll be able to grow it and then you can invest some into the education afterwards. So some coaches will go the opposite way and then they're still struggling because they're using a loan to buy the certification, but it's just not really helping them grow their business. So with that being said, we recommend, events to go to. If you go to one conference every 6 months to hone your skills, go ahead. If you want to do more than that, go right ahead. But TRM is, to me, I built it around a community aspect where we have business tools we give our coaches and we coach you on them. But I always push them listen, one of our modules actually is on leadership. And part of being a leader is investing, leading by example in your education outside of just business.
And we kind of covered it a little bit, but I want to get into, the competition side because being a low baller, if you will, not even knowing it is something that is bad for any industry, right? Like you're just bringing down the ability to sell value. What are some of those things that you point out? Well, these are some other things that you can actually do to be competitive within this industry.
Okay, good question. So a few things is if you know who you're targeting, then you can offer within your package things to serve them better. When you go from being a generalized approach, almost general doctor, to the specialized surgeon, that's where you're going to win and offer more in your price points, right? So if I'm targeting 40 plus women, who have hormonal issues, are getting into the menopause stage in their life, I'm not going to offer them strength training stuff that's tailored to a 25-year-old, right? Or say, I'm going to think of ways to beef up my offer that really hit them, and that allows me to charge more for my services, right? It could be a hormone blood test as part of the package. It could be an assessment review on your panels. It can be a deep dive with the doctor afterwards to kind of go over things, what the results showed. These are specialized things that allow you to charge twice the price, and they're going to pay it.
Gotcha. And do you see that there's sometimes a fear that there's not enough people out there that are willing, or that maybe are the specific X number year old person with X problem or X desire? Do you think that is that the fear that there's not enough people out there to support a business or maybe to support another business is a fear that why a lot of people stay general?
Yes, 100%. It's a mindset thing. And it's also about a knowledge educational thing is that when you, I mentioned the word general, if you're going to be a general trainer, online coach, you're going to make average income and you're going to do average results. And that's how everybody starts off. Even I did the same thing. I was a general as well. But as you get better and you hone, you hire a mentor, you get coaching, you get support, you get education, you're going to be able to I always call it the mile wide and mile deep philosophy in TRM. So when you go a mile deep, you start a mile wide, then you start to become a mile deep. And now you turn into your prices go up, things change. My TRM prices in TRM for our coaches have massively changed from 5 years ago. But now we offer a whole bunch more to coaches that take them from A to B a lot faster. That's the difference.
Gotcha.
You can never be too specific. And here's an example. Take a wild guess. How much does a heart surgeon make a year, do you think?
394,000.
Man, you're a beast. You're a freaking beast. Then how much do you think a top level trainer coach of the Dallas Cowboys would get paid a year?
The Weight Room Podcast is proud to be partnered with Prime Science, our new sponsor and a trailblazer in health technology. Prime Science is dedicated to pushing the boundaries of what's possible in health and fitness through extensive research and scientific validation. Their products are a testament to their commitment to safe, scientifically backed health optimization. To learn more about how Prime Science is redefining fitness with valid science, visit primescience.co.uk. Join us in embracing a future where fitness meets rigorous scientific practice with Prime Science. This podcast is sponsored by Smoking Gun Coffee, a veteran-owned coffee company that strives to give back to those in need. Don't forget to use code TWR10 for a 10% discount at checkout.
128,000.
They're over over $250,000 a year for those kind of coaches. So say for example, and they also don't like they get a lot of time off, right? So say for example, you take a general personal trainer at a Planet Fitness is going to probably get paid between $30,000 to $40,000 a year, right? Versus the coach who has strength training background, who's getting paid $250,000 a year, to be the top, that's just a general number, but it actually can be more. I actually know the coach who actually coaches Sidney Crosby, and this guy literally trains the Pittsburgh Penguins. Sidney Crosby, the guy makes a lot of money. It's a lot of money. So with that being said, he has a lot of time off, but he also, when he's in, but he gets paid 5 times more than the average coach because he niched down to hockey. But because he was in hockey, now he had other sports reaching out to him. He's trained Tiger Woods, he's trained a lot of the other guys out in the industry, all because he started with Sidney Crosby. So that's how niche I'm talking about. And I use Dallas Cowboys coach example because, that coach wanted to coach a sports team. So he began with high school level. He went to college, then he moved up to the NFL, right? But it's all of a sudden what he got paid dramatically changed because he specialized.
It's the psychological, it's more of a perception thing. But if I go down this hole of doing this, what if it doesn't work out? Then I have to rebrand, then I have to get out of this, then I have to go back into something else. Or do you see that being a fear?
It can be for a coach who's just kind of coming in there and looking to find their path. It definitely would. It's a fear for every coach when they first go in that process, for sure. And then every coach that we've trained on Ideal Client, even when we give them the Ideal Client, we define it, it's still being refined over time. And there's still a fear of like, do I niche down? How far do I niche down? How far do I go? But what's funny, and I'll give an example of one of our coaches, Linda, I've coached her for 6 years. And she began as a general trainer. And then as over the years, she found midlife, women over 50. Actually, it was actually over 40, then now it's over 50. And she targets 50 and 50 females. And she actually takes these courses now that are like thousands of dollars with the best hormone doctors in the world, and has become this expert who charges 5 times more now for her services for women between 50 and 60 years old, right? In the hormone sector. It took her 6 years to get there. But now females, she's being asked to go on podcasts, that are around with, female based, with doctors. But she kind of like niched down. Because of that, she's becoming an authority in the space of females over 50. And she's, asked to go on more big shows now. Like, it took her a while. But I said, Linda, just be patient, stick in this zone, keep honing, keep refining. And now she's reaping the rewards.
Kind of moving on to the next topic here is the this idea that it's an easy thing to do to be an online coach. And is that from the perspective of it's easy so I don't have to put a lot into it, or it's easy so, man, why can't I succeed at this? I feel like an idiot. Or what kind of perception or perspective is the easy part coming from?
Well, there's a lot of social media content out there that, talks about the easy way into doing almost everything, right? And it's almost being preconditioned in our minds. So you see, and online coaches are coming up, there's new ones every single day. So they're like, oh, online coaching, it's an easy way to go into coaching. I'll be an online coach. I have a good social media following. I have 10,000 followers. I'll make some money. That's my perception of why I mentioned the word easy. They are falling in this trap of influencer, not business, and not value. They just want to make a quick buck. So like, oh, I'll just do some, posts, launch my program tomorrow for, make a post on it. Always I get 2 clients, but they have no thing in place to take care of that client.
Like, is that something that you can talk someone out of in a way? Or is that something that they have to live through to understand?
Depends where they are mentally and emotionally. If their ego has gotten in the way because their social following is so big, and I've had calls with people who come with me on a call and they got more followers than I do, but they aren't making the money that I make, and they aren't doing as well, but they think their following is going to get them a lot of money. So it's also a shift of like, if they have a growth mindset and they're open to change and open to improvement, there's a lot of potential of growth for them. But you got to think like our social media followings, every time you open a feed up, there's something new about life is easier, right? AI is going to save your life over here and this over here. So we're being preconditioned. Discipline around the basics is where we teach our clients on. And that creates an easier way of doing business over time. But you start somewhere to get to the next level.
Yeah. Well, I was going to say, like, how do you go from, hey, this isn't going to be like having the conversation of, hey, this isn't going to be easy. They maybe start to understand that. They're like, all right, well, can you help me out? And you say, yeah, let's work out. Let's work together. And all of a sudden, things do start to feel easier. Do you ever have people go, wait, what's going on here? Is this like a windfall? Is this gonna last? How do I make this last? Do people maybe get a little nervous when the success does start to come, quote, easier because they are doing the right things?
Every time. Yeah. So when they first come into you, I always tell them on the first call, you're probably going to want to quit the first month. And like, what are you talking? You just got me in TM. I was like, you're probably going to want to quit in 4 weeks. And it's not to like say you're going to quit. It's because I want to warn them it's going to get tough in a good way because we're challenging your beliefs. We're challenging how you've done your business for so long in a way to make you better. But once you get past the resistance wall, then you'll see a new opportunity. And that's where the easy part comes in. But we almost call it stages in TRM. It's like you see this part where you come in, you're going to hit a wall. Oof, I want to quit. But you go through it, and now you have a new opportunity. You've raised the opportunity on your goal, your business. Now things are flowing. You go from 10 to 20K a month, 30K a month. Cool. 30K comes. Oh my gosh, my company's going to fall down the tubes. I want to quit. I can't do this anymore. The wall hits again. You want to quit. Boom. We go through it again. Okay, next level. Boom, boom. I'm going to show you a visual. Can I show you a visual?
Yes.
Okay. So check this out. This is one thing that I built in TRM for one of our modules called the thriving thermostat. Now, the question we ask them on the training is, what do you believe you deserve right now per month in your business? So let's ask you, Dan. What do you think on this scale per month you deserve in your business?
So psychologically, are you asking me this, or are you asking me like current day, or
just current day? Current day. What do you believe you deserve?
I think for my personality, I'm always going to go middle of the road. I don't know what it is about that, but I don't, maybe that's like hit the wall, or maybe it's some kind of like thing I need to work through. But I'm always like, I'm okay with middle of the road, or I'm, acceptable of that.
So now that's where you feel you deserve right now. Like you believe you deserve at this moment, right? Which is great. Now, if you look at this again, at what income level do you feel uncomfortable at per month?
Probably closer to like 50.
Okay. So probably more like 60-ish. So that's the income level right now that we're going to start to program you into to prepare you for what's ahead. That's where we kind of get this training is all about unleashing your worth and master imposter within, because we want to know where's your current level at and where do you feel uncomfortable at, because we also work in between there. And if we don't know that before going in, you'll hit it and you'll probably fall back down to 20 again, because you'll sabotage yourself, or you'll feel like, do I deserve this? Or it's not where my level, my thermos actually is at yet. Your business maybe isn't set up for it yet, or you had a big sale and you're like, oh great, but all of a sudden all the fear kicks in. Our client's going to leave me. Can I keep doing this? So it's just like, it pulls you back down again.
In some ways, like even takes us to our next topic, and of like setting up the systems and things like that, right? Like if you've created a business from the work aspect, like, okay, I know I have clients and I know I have maybe potential client, leads coming in, but man, can I manage it all? Can I do it all? Or what happens if, something slips through the cracks or whatever it may be? I mean, is that really where you have to upgrade your business from the back end and just make sure that things aren't slipping through the cracks, and things that, can be taken off of your plate that you don't necessarily have to take care of? You can dedicate that to a system and things like that.
Do you right now in your pocket, do you have like a $20 bill or $8 bill, sort of bill in your pocket right now? Do you have a bill?
I do not.
Okay. Let's say you're rich because you have $1,000 in your pocket, whatever it might be, right? So let's say you have this $100 bill in your pocket, you pull it out,
Okay.
you go to the bathroom, you tear it up and put her in the can. How do you feel?
Not good.
Okay. So that goes back into systems. So systems is if you're, if their systems have leaks, it's like tearing up $100 bill or more and putting it down the can. So systems sets you free. Systems also enable you to keep more of your money and more of your clients and not throw money down the toilet.
Do you sometimes start to put too much into the system instead of like using the system for what it's made for?
Every time. Every time. So that will happen with every coach. Even when you're going through TRM, you're going to feel that feeling, Dan, of the overwhelm of the systems, because it is a big thing to undertake. That's why we take you. That's why we actually built our own, and we have Laurent leading that, because he's like our guide to take you on this journey. We call it the systems journey, where you go through step 1, step 2, step 3. Because if you don't do the guide thing and just take an app or buy a software, you'll probably cancel it in 2 months because you can handle it all.
Mm-hmm.
And we ran into that problem 3 years ago with our clients who were buying softwares, and we didn't actually have the system built like we did now. And people were like just frustrated. They were like, this is so confusing. It's cheap, but I can't do it. So that's when I brought this pillar and called system. So with that being said, the whole thing goes back into, I call it the client journey experience. You want them to feel a certain way when you join your coaching program, like Dan's coaching system. So, and it can be as simple as having just a basic application funnel, an application form, like your Google form you mentioned about. That's a great step. You have your form with certain questions, and one could be a qualifying question. Are you ready to invest between $200 to $400 a month on your health and fitness goals? Yes and no. That one question can filter out people that are just on the fence or they want to invest. So you might only have 5 forms that week compared to 10, but they're 5 qualified prospects.
Looking at it from a time gain perspective, from a business perspective, but also from a personal perspective, because both of those are very important. They, in some ways, I guess, go hand in hand, right? So, you know,
Mhm.
how do you really utilize systems to gain time back within your business, but then also go, well, what now? Like, what do I do now with this time? Like, do I spend it more on my business? Do I spend it more on doing what I want to do? Like, and at what point maybe it's different within different stages of your business? I mean, really, because time is the ultimate resource. So when you start to have more of it because you're setting your business up, like, what do you recommend coaches do with that time?
I'm going to show you another graphic, okay?
Mm-hmm.
So we call this the time matrix in TRM. See that, Dan?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So let's say that this kind of, this is almost like a 40-hour work week matrix, okay, for now. So what I'm saying is this 7-day, 40-hour, say 5-day a week, 40-hour work week formula is based on these 5 components. Doing is you physically doing work in your business, right? This is where most coaches, of course, spend more than that right now. They're usually doing more like 95% of their time in the doing phase and then 5% on the rest, right? So the ideal thing is to be at 60%. The 17.5 is on the sales and marketing. So the things like your content, writing your newsletters, like, that sort of angle, answering, DMs on clients, that kind of stuff. The designing is the planning, the strategy. How do you keep improving? How do you schedule your time? How do you set your goals of the week? How do you plan your nights before? That's 5% of your week is designing your week and designing your days and your goals. Education, you're listening to podcasts like your show, Dan, like your podcast show. You're reading books. You're investing or looking at courses you bought. So your education's in there. And then I mentioned recharge because, that's a battery rebooter. So that can be as simple as your training workouts. It can be a meditation. It can be a walk. So this is kind of a basic, we give this to our clients as a basic idea. So what you do is you audit your week. Like say you look at what you don't do for a week of work and where is it currently at and where could it move towards? I've never done more than 3 days of auditing, just to be very frank with you. But if you were to start small and just do one day of auditing what you do in a day, it'll kind of give you an idea of where you spend your work day, right? And this whole graph is not to make it perfect for you. It's meant to give you an idea of where you can improve.
Once you have that audit, like where do you start with that?
Good. So almost every coach that actually does the audit process, right, it usually is between 9 to 95% in the doing phase. So we need to look at ways to, have nights where you plan the day before, where you spend an hour on the weekend planning the week next and reviewing your week. So that kind of carves back some time. But to get less in the doing, you need systems. So you get systems built in that enable, almost like think of your system as a person that you're hiring on your team to do administration, to get back to clients when they book bookings, to be more efficient when you're answering emails, right? To send out emails to your list with the system. These are all things you're probably doing manually, but now your thing is doing it for you. So as opposed to spending 5 to 8 hours a week of all this admin work, now you're only spending 1 hour a week. And because you optimized your in-person training business and actually made that more efficient, by the way of using your offer, making your check-ins easier and better, making your personal support more effective, you've gained back another 5 hours a week doing that, right? We've had clients come in with their offers where they're spending, one client came in recently who was spending almost 15 hours a week of personal response time and clients with her 80 clients. She was severely burnt out. I said, listen, here's what we're going to do in one session. We took all her, because she was communicating over WhatsApp and Instagram and over email and over text message. I said, listen, we're going to centralize your communication. One thing, WhatsApp. And you're going to have limits between these hours of Monday to Friday for your days. Weekends are going to be off. And she struggled. She's like, what if I lose people? I'm like, listen, we'll just try small. Let's go 6 days a week and keep Sunday off. Okay. And she says, man, in 2 weeks, she says, Matthew, I've already got back like almost 10 hours of my week back. People are respecting my time. I'm not answering messages at midnight anymore or feeling that anxiety come up. So her doing went from 95 to probably closer to 70%.
And when people get that time back, is that something where you almost have to instruct them on like how to use that time because they've never had it before?
So when they get time back, usually most coaches find something else to put in there in the slot, so which is normal. Heck, we all do it, right? So the whole thing is, because most coaches who have a time issue usually are, working a lot of inefficient hours in the course of a week, or they're training so many clients that they're burning out. So the first thing I say is enjoy your time off. Like if you want to relax at an evening and watch a movie and just chill out or go for a walk, do it. Like actually enjoy taking a little bit of time, an hour or two a day off, because we don't do enough thinking in our day. And thinking is what actually solves problems. Thinking is where creativity expands because we're so busy doing things. So when you start to get some time back, don't just put it with something else. You could if you want to, but as you gain back, these hours, go for a walk, do one more workout in the course of a day, hang out with your kids a bit more, go play in the pool if you have one, go play a sport for Pete's sake, and you'll actually notice that recharging time will make you more money because you're actually enjoying your business more.
Yeah. Well, I found too, just in general, like my best ideas aren't when I sit down and try to think of ideas.
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah.
I think we're being trained, Dan, to there's a time to have speed and there's a time to slow down. And I think I had to personally go through this myself as an entrepreneur is enjoying slowing down so you can speed up at those certain times.
When it comes to really sitting down with a coach and saying, hey, we've reached a level where you're kind of at this ratio, if you will, of doing versus setting goals versus, all the things that we talked about, and they're ready to grow. Like they want to continue to grow. Is it like, okay, we can stay in this ratio and we can continue to grow, or is it we need to kind of fall into maybe a little bit more of a given thing during given times of trying to grow, and then we fall back into this ratio when we kind of hit a certain point, or what is that?
When you're in a growth phase, you'll probably have to spend more time in the designing phase and mapping it out, going through your plans, breaking down the process. But then all of a sudden there'll be a time and place where you've got things really systemized and dialed, and you can go back to a little more efficient calendar. But that's all a part of the process.
from a person to person aspect of sales, I think we have this idea in small, when I say small businesses, like it really, and I think it's more service related
Hmm.
small businesses, that sales is, we don't like it. It's bad. It's going to turn people off and turn people away, and they're not going to want to interact with us because they think that every time we talk to them, we're going to try to be getting their money and all this kind of stuff. So, how do you make sales less salesy, and how do you make people comfortable as salespeople, I guess?
Don't look at sales as going into a call to sell somebody. Look at it as meeting a new friend. So, meeting a new friend, what do? Well, you go in there curious. I want to learn more about you. What's your story? You know? And then you go into maybe offering some questions on like, yeah, what are your future goals with that? What are you looking to achieve? So you become what I call Sherlock Holmes, not a salesperson. So I could see even your energy change just seeing that, Dan, on the line. And we had literally a coaching call on this, gold call on this last month. And this topic came up exactly like you just said. And a couple gals who are actually very high level influencers in the industry of fitness were saying, I don't want to be on sales calls. I struggle with them. I was like, I was there too. For years, I struggled with sales. And then I used a concept around look of it as meeting a new friend. And they're like, you can almost see their shoulders start to drop. And I'm like, oh, really? Yeah, just meet a new friend. Be curious about them. Here's the 7 steps. Follow the 7 steps of sales. Meet a new friend. And literally in a week, she went from having no consult bookings to 10 consult bookings, closing 5 new clients. She's like, oh my gosh, complete revelation. I want to go on a Zoom call now as opposed to I want to resist going on a Zoom call.
Once you get that initial call kind of underway, and you're having that conversation, how do you how do you help someone, I guess, turn the corner?
So we've gone through, we built rapport together. You and I built rapport on a call. I've learned more about what you're struggling with. I've learned about your goals. We've kind of built this little relationship. And now we come into like, I've really heard, I've almost recited back to you, like, Dan, I'm hearing from you right now that you want to grow your business from 10K to 20K. You're struggling with overwhelm. You're struggling with, family, at how, all that kind of stuff happening. So is that correct, Dan, with what you currently have right now with your current process? Then I ask you, Dan, let me ask you this question. Do you want some help as far as understanding like how to overcome these things? Would that be of interest to you?
And then I can either say yes or no, I guess, right?
100%, right? Do you want some help with this process? And then from being helped, it's like that's a friend. A friend would always ask, would you want some help? Right? From there, you just give me permission now to then say, do you want me to share with you actually how I can help you achieve that goal? Would that be of interest to you now, sharing up like almost like a next step offer to you to help you with that? Right? Now your guard's down because I'm asking you, do you want help? You said yes. Now permission is given to now share what this offer could look like. So now I go into presenting this offer in a nice, clean, professional way. When I've presented the offer, the breakdown, then I ask you, how does that sound to you, Dan? How do you feel about that?
Do you think, as the salesperson, that you need that 100% complete buy-in at that moment, or do you
Yeah.
just need them to have faith in that moment?
I'm building trust. I'm building trust. I want them to know that I'm listening to them and I understand where they're at. So if I ask the 1 to 10 question, they give me a 5 and they give me an 8 back. It's like, cool. So you've right now, so what was the reason of that 8? Was it because you weren't sure about something that I mentioned to you in the offer? What was that question and uncertainty you have? So I listen again to what the uncertainty is. Some people don't go to a 10 on the call. They just need a couple of days to really digest this whole conversation, right? And they want to see a visual after the call of the information. They want to see testimonial stories of clients. They want to soak it in a bit longer. I'm like, that's totally cool. The one thing I never do is I never go pressure. I never say like, you want to buy right now. I have never done that in years. I'm like, hey, how do you feel about this right now? Do you think it would be a good process for you to start today? Or do you want to start, next month? Or do you have more questions you want to ask me? Right. I never say, do you want to buy now? Right. Because buying is almost like I'm like pressuring you on the spot. Cool, you're at an 8, would make it a 10. And when is a good time for you maybe to start this process? What do you think?
Putting it in their hands and really learning more. And
Yeah.
and listening. I think that that's what a lot of sales does come down to, is just kind of listening to what their wants and needs are instead of.
Okay, I want to kind of clarify there, because yes, but some sales coaches want to hear themselves talk too much.
Mhm.
Or they ask the question, they listen, but then their mind, they're thinking of the next question without listening to what the client actually said.
Mhm.
And that's where sales coaches, I would say the authentic ones, the good ones, like we have in TRM, versus the ones that are almost like trained salespeople that are almost like killers. And all they do is want to just talk and like get you bought as fast as possible.
So once that call is over, let's say it's something that, okay, they didn't want to, they're not at a 10 yet, right? They haven't bought today. So how do you go about being, I guess, still their friend, still
Mhm.
viewing it as, hey, I'm your friend, but in a professional way where it's like, hey, this is still here. I don't want you to
Mhm.
forget about it. I don't,
Mhm.
being, having that follow up, but without being, once again, too pushy or too salesy about it.
Two things. Friends help friends. So we're here to help you. So the whole thing right now is I'm going to help you by giving you a follow-up email of all the information that we talked about. So you can look it over, digest it all, look at a link testimonial stories of our clients, look at information on how everything works in TRM. So you can really learn about us a bit better in that process. While we're on the call, let's book another call, touch base, and to see where things are at for you in a couple of days. Does that sound cool to you? Cool. So we book a touching base call. Like on the call, we schedule another call as well to give them a couple days to soak everything in, and then there's no pressure. And I'm like, listen, do you have anybody else you've spoken to about your coaching business? Just kind of curious. I have a couple others. Cool. Talk to them as well. I'm the kind of guy that I want people to talk to others because I know how good we are and what we do, not because I know we're like amazing. It's because I want to know them to know that they can trust us as being a transparent business.
So once that hits that stage and you do the follow up, and it just seems like, all right, they're just probably, for whatever reason, they're not ready. How, at that point, how do you go about like retargeting that group of people in
Mhm.
in a different way than you're targeting the person that is, that hasn't had that initial like the initial call yet? Is it something where you are trying to target them separately?
Yes, we have them in a nurturing sequence in TRM where they're giving like weekly emails, they're giving our podcast every single week, they're giving free gifts every month, like things to keep them front of mind in the process. Now, if I had a sales call and they weren't ready for starting now, which happens sometimes for sure. So I still try to book them for another call. It could be in a month or two from now, just to kind of keep that warm. Then I actually have them again. I kind of recommend like, hey, listen, here's some things I can give you for free to just get you kind of going with the process. Here's our 5-step toolkit I'm going to give you as a free lead magnet. Here's our podcast to listen to. There's 140 some episodes. So they're given those tools. On the sales call, I can usually uncover where they're at. So I from there, what I can do is I can, if obviously if they're a warmer lead, they need a little more time, I schedule their call in, get them information, their dripped information in between. So there's that process. If they're more of like, it just really isn't a fit, which it happens once in a while. Listen, I'm still going to use some free stuff to take care of you in the intern. You'll be in the email list. You're still going to get all the emails. So there's that touch point still happening regardless in that process, right? But I always leave the call giving them something of value, something that they can take back and just like consume, learn about to give them immediate gratification and support there.
Kind of going backwards, I guess, a little bit in the process, but it's a full circle kind of thing because that's what business is. I really want to, maybe leave this podcast and this training, if you will, with maybe like a couple really valuable tips or really valuable strategies that a trainer can use to generate those leads without spending any money.
Okay. So the first thing is every trainer is going to have a database. And a database is people that know, like, and trust you. And these can be past clients, it can be prospects that inquired about coaching, friends, family, colleagues you work with in other businesses. That's going to be a list of people that you can spend an hour building out, and then it'll be your first list of people. That list could be 10 people, it could be 100 people, it can be bigger than that if you want it to be. That's a list you start off with. And that database, so once you do have an offer, now we have one basic offer to start. Now you can reach out to those people warm and say, hey, Matt, or hey, Dan, it's Matthew here. Just checking how are things going for you? Question mark. Boom. Because they all know, you can be kind of generalized because they probably know you're already a coach anyway, and it's been a while, but just connect with all those people. So that one step, we had one coach join TRM last year doing this. This is a good example, who was doing 4,000 a month in his business. I says, bro, how big is your database? It was over 100 people. He'd been a coach for 7 years. So over 5 weeks, he didn't make, I think he made one social media post the whole month. He has 114 followers. So this gives you an example of like social media isn't everything. He went from 4,000 a month to 12,000 a month in 6 weeks by just working his database. You start there because social media does take some time to build that up. But if you want immediate, getting on calls with people to warm up the list, database is where you start.
It's been really great getting to chat with you and doing this tonight. It was really an interesting episode. I had a lot of, a lot of fun talking about this kind of business side of the business stuff. And I think a lot of coaches out there are going to, benefit from it as well. So I really appreciate it.
Absolute pleasure, Dan.
So if you want to, before we head, if you want to share any websites, social medias, anything like that before we head, you can do that.
trainerrevenuemultiplier.com, guys. You can go find information of us basically on the website, on Instagram. That's where you can find us.
If you're tired of searching for a coach or trainer, somebody who knows what they're talking about and has experience, make sure you go check out the new Coach's Corner on weightroompodcast.com. You can find quality, qualified coaches to help you achieve your goals, whether that's in bodybuilding or just general fitness. Stop wasting time and start achieving your goals today. The link to the Coach's Corner is down in the description below.